Now we're going to talk about this week's NXT. I nearly forgot about it, but it's there and it happened again this week and started off very strangely. I sat down here thinking I'm going to have to pay real attention to this to get those opinions and those sound bites for WrestleDope this week. Then I was presented with a cake carrying contest.
I was, it was it was definitely an interesting start to the show. Heath Slater being the one who really surprised me there with the run, and Heath, of all people, getting the push with the barrels, but it was odd. It was an odd start, but I'm sure it made sense in the WWE world. Now, Cole and his commentary is quite interesting, I have to say, with Bryan Daniels, which we'll get to. But Heath Slater, I don't know what God's name they're going to do with him. I just don't know. I mean, he's not going to be around, is he? He's not going to stay on the show.
Well, it seems to be that we're getting a lot of heat here in the chat room, people wanting us to check out the chat room, but we are in fact watching it in front of us here, and indeed we see everything that is said, and we definitely try and pick out those wrestling comments. Certainly, if you can type about your opinions on wrestling, that's kind of what we're looking for. Certainly hard to make out some of the stuff here, but we're working on all of that, and indeed now we don't have to look behind us anymore. But yeah, we've got some messages in here. Tommy Coolwater, he's talking about his show, and indeed, if I can just get the information here, he running a company called Stunner Wrestling Inc., and the number is in there on the chat room. Of course, not from the US. The long distance rate on that might be tough, but certainly if you're in the US, I'm sure you would get a free call to that number, or indeed long distance if you're a bit far away. It's a hotline hosted by Tommy and Steven, so check that one out. And indeed, guys, glad to hear that more of us out there giving our opinions. I mean, the fans are going to start driving this wrestling thing real soon. We're on the internet talking about it, and eventually, I think the ideas that sort of come from the entire internet wrestling community may eventually play a part, and indeed with NXT, we can see it's happening now. Cole never shuts up about the net.
Yeah, Cole's gone Twitter crazy, hasn't he? Which is quite interesting. I think it's a good little work for him, and I'm sure it is as well, in a work sense at work. But it makes him entertaining and takes him out of the mundane every week Cole that we've seen for many years at this stage, and puts a nice little spin on his buzz, I think, in the company, and even his on-air role, and it's entertaining, and he should keep it up.
Yeah, it's working me, and I have to say that if it works me, then it's good. If I'm being worked and they are tricking me into getting angry, which this week I was a little bit, and indeed Michael Cole pushing that realm of shoot to a new level. We saw it on the very first episode. He was heavy on the Twitter talk, and that's only grown more in the past few weeks. Now you've got Josh Matthews and Michael Cole. Literally every match, it's a back and forth, non-stop insults, and indeed I know they're being told to play it up even more. But we had that keg carrying competition and lots of shoot from Michael Cole on Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, and he had lots to say about him. Of course, the reason for that was when Daniel Bryan said in that opening intro with Matt Striker that should David Otunga have been the Raw guest host, but more importantly, should Michael Cole have replaced JR?
Yeah, it's great. It's great stuff. They should really keep it up. And I think what they need to do with it now is bring it closer, get Cole out of the commentary booth into the ring just for one promo with Daniel Bryan, and really get it over the whole heat between those two guys. And it could be a great little program to continue on, outside of NXT and maybe up onto Raw if they keep Brian Daniels, which I'm sure they will. And there's plenty of juice in that little angle. And a good one-on-one confrontation needs to happen pretty soon with those two.
And when those guys were brought out initially by Matt Striker, I thought there were good pops for the A-list Otunga, and indeed, maybe those guys hadn't seen Raw the previous night because he healed. But certainly a lot of cheers for David as he came out. He's going to be the poster boy, there's no doubt about it, and certainly going to win a whole new generation of fans. And also big pops for Heath Slater. Not so much, a little bit for Daniel Bryan, but the rest of the guys, it was fairly quiet. I mean, certainly I must say also Justin Gabriel got some pops there. But at least this week we had some work from Michael Tarver. Now Michael, in the middle of that keg carrying competition, he dropped it. And indeed, certainly got a chance to really show his emotions on that one.
Yeah, and I think it kind of went a bit 180 with Tarver because he was definitely getting shunned aside. But it's those small little things that WWE do and do best that can really make you think, maybe Tarver could do something here, and he'll have his chance to shine or whatever. But I like those small little twists that they put into the storylines and the angles they run. But Tarver's not really going to get over as a whole. I don't think he has it. We said this last week, but entertaining nonetheless for the week that it was.
Yeah, plenty of viewers in here this week. Some not signed in, but we've got Bubba Dave in there, and a regular. Outsiders KO420, Tom Kirsch, Tommy Coolwater having a S. Was all I'll say about that one. And Draven123, a couple of other people in there not signed in as well. And that's not too bad for a Sunday evening. NXT continued, and that keg carrying competition was won by somebody. I didn't pay much attention, but I think who won that?
I think it was Heath Slater.
It was Heath Slater. Heath Slater won the keg carrying competition, and I think my question for you today, watching this, was this keg carrying competition a shoot? I know that Michael Tarver didn't need to drop that, and that certainly was a work. But do you think they maybe said, let's see who can really carry this keg? Probably very unlikely. But there you go. Being worked by NXT, and maybe it's that new style. That's exactly what we need.
It is, and I had never thought of it. But if it was a work from WWE, and whoever's writing NXT, good job, because it was pretty funny, I have to say. It really was.
Yeah, it was funny and unexpected, and it looks like there's going to be more tests of strength in the future on NXT. Now, love him or loathe him, Matt Striker has got a very long future ahead. In a great position in 2010, he's got another decade or more, and indeed, I think Michael Cole should be quaking in his boots. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't analyse properly. He's a play-by-play guy, and he either is told he can't call the names of the moves, or he just doesn't know what they are, because Matt Striker knows every one of them.
Yeah, I think it's like Cole came from a different kind of broadcasting position into WWE, where Striker is the wrestler turned commentator, and even at that, he's the smart mark. He is with the stuff he knows, and he really is probably one of the biggest marks around professional wrestling from a TV taping side of view that you're going to see from any commentator or anybody working in the business. And damn right, Cole should be quaking in his boots, because I think Striker is definitely going to be the one to lead the commentary team into the future, and potentially could take JR's long-standing seat as one of the greatest of all time. He's definitely got the potential to do it, and it's so young, with so much knowledge. He can only get better, I think, too.
Matt Striker impressing me, and everybody liking his references and the way he knows those moves. As you say, it's a great point. He is a smart mark. He's just like a lot of us. We maybe think we're smart, but we're certainly marks, and we read all the information possible, Whether that makes us smart or not, well, we might think so,